Hello.
Yes, okay.
Hello. Are we all set? Can we reduce the fan? Okay. Welcome to Auroville Festival, Day 3. This year Auroville Festival's theme is sincerity, and today, the third day, is dedicated to Mahalakshmi. And our theme for today is harmony, and we are going to discuss in our city conversations. We are going to talk about the peace area. Though we already touched upon Matri Mandir, we are going to talk about basically the city center till the crown. In this session, we hope to explore the aspects of a harmony which Mahalakshmi demands to organize in every thought and act as we weave our collective organization towards peace. We will delve into the definitions of our intrinsic contradictions and explore crown as a means of collaboration and harmonizing our paths towards a conscious collective. The surroundings that are in the making will create an atmosphere of calm, serenity, and center to the city in the future. And to discuss this, to have a conversation regarding this topic, we have Aryamani, we have Anu, we have Ramanji, and we have Hans. And what we will try to do is, the format is that we first start from the aspirational values of this particular zone. What do you think individually is the purpose, is the why of this particular zone? And then we will get into the how aspect. How can we, what are the routes that we can take to achieve, to perhaps manifest that aspiration? And finally, we will look into the nitty-gritties, the practicalities. How can we kind of act to make it possible? I invite Aryamani to begin. Yes.
Yeah, this center art area, it houses the Mat Mandir. So Mat Mandir is it is there, no? So it is the symbol, no, of not only the symbol, but the force, the power to this aspiration to manifest one day. From the Mat Mandir, if you open and enlarge, then you have the oval,
Mm-hmm.
and you have the lake,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have the city,
Mm-hmm.
the volume of the city. And how, it's a question for us, no? How you can manifest the city with the same level of the Mat Mandir, the same level of beauty, the same level of harmony, the same level of the quality of the vibration of the Mat Mandir. How you can create the city at that level? Because I repeat myself, but I can say nothing should be less than that level at this city. You know, this beauty, this harmony, this silence, this quality of life. Mat Mandir is that. And it's there to And you think about harmony, I just got a flower, no? That the mother gave the significance of a harmony. And this flower, I think, everybody knows that flower because it's growing everywhere. And it's called, the harmony is a spiritual significance that the mother having given to that flower. So if you see this plant, it's a creeper. It grows very easily, has 4 colors, I believe. And when you see the plant, it's so confused, apparently, so mixed and so, wild and going everywhere, and there is no order, nothing. So the last thing you can imagine is a harmony, no? Because the plant is this,
wild.
It's wild, absolutely wild. There's no order, apparently order or nothing. So for me, it's always a kind of a paradox. And I keep looking on this little flower, and this is harmony. And so appearances, sometimes we go through the appearances, and we don't see the reality behind. And I believe from where we are now, in Auroville, this harmony one day will manifest. I have no doubt about that. I have no doubt about how the Mahatmanjiri will be the influencer, how Mahatmanjiri will bring this forward, this force of the Mahatmanjiri, the power of the mother behind that. So this will be the harmony that will come. This for me is sure.
Thank you. Anu, your thoughts?
Yeah, I was just thinking what Aryamani mentioned about the flowers there. You know, when you look at harmony for Auroville, it's the totality. It's that, and that totality, when I look at the galaxy plan, it's a very dynamic harmony, which is, which takes each and every part, each part embraces the other. And to come to that harmony, it starts from the center, what she just mentioned. So Matri Mandir, like years ago I used to work over there when we were in the construction site. And we were all, totally untrained, totally, we would just land there and nobody had any idea how to handle a spanner, for example.
Yep.
But we built that place, And there was, despite all the apparent misunderstandings or apparent conflicts or disagreements, there was a harmony when we were working together. And that was a real beauty, a real joy, I would say. When you were up in the scaffolding, we were all there. There was no apparent protection like we have now in workspaces, but there was a sense of complete security and complete harmony with everything around us. So, and it was also an experience of beauty. So, this harmony is the space of the soul, the space of the beauty of the soul.
Yeah.
And that is something I think anybody who walks through the Matri Mandir gardens, goes through that area, experiences it in his or her own way all through. And this is something which then emanates into the city. The Matri Mandir itself was created as she says that the Park of Unity will be an isolating zone. She says that it will be like on an islet. She has the thing of the lake. So all that is there, but this is something which has to kind of emanate, radiate into the city, for which it is there, for which it waits, right? And one of the things is that then the next phase it moves into is the city center. You wanted us to, because that's how it moves towards the crown. And from the city center itself, we have the different zones. The northern side, eastern side, like that.
Yeah.
So, and the beauty of the city center is that it was meant to be totally pedestrian, as much as possible.
Okay.
With very little, so with parks, with gardens, with waterways, all those things.
Okay.
So, and it's something which is very living, which people use, and it's safe and is beautiful. So that is really in different areas, the different parts of the city center. Each side is different, northern side, eastern side. One is with the schools and the kindergartens. One side is with the international zone. One side has the residential zones and also the kindergarten thing. And then you have the northern side, which has the green corridors. Yeah, that's totally the industrial zone, and it kind of merges. So there's also this thing that the harmony of the city is that one thing weaves with the other. Mm-hmm. So you have the green corridors, you have the idea of the, what is it called? The vocational training for the youth and for anybody, yeah. And that it kind of merges with it sort of interacts with the industrial zone. So it's like one symphony of life and the beauty of life. And I was just wait to see it. And then you have the crown. Yeah. Maybe you want to come to that later.
You can touch upon the aspirational aspects.
Yeah, just waiting for it to happen. Okay. Because I just see it not as this terrifying, terrible thing which will be imposed on us. Okay. On the contrary, as something which is very living, which brings our, let's say, our variety. Yeah. It brings our creativity. And definitely always, starting from Matrimandir, the lesson is always beauty. This is what we have to manifest. It's our urban center. And that life that we create, which is not going to be this mega city and all that nonsense. Yeah. It is something that we have to create with our imagination, and it's all there for us to do.
Okay. Ramanji, also if you can add to your aspirational and the way you look at the aspirational qualities of the city center, like she rightly said, emanating from Matrimandir, and you have been there. So what, according to you, is the individual aspiration? How do we also harmonize the collective aspiration versus the individual aspiration? Also, if you can, because you are also living in that, and you have also worked there in a collective space.
Interesting that I took part here. So, again, let me express it in my own way.
Please.
See, for me, like Savitri, it's basically a legend and a symbol. Upon the reader, how they take it. But when somebody gave it, he does not, sorry to put it like that many people will read, become that, this, that. It's a gift for us. Each individual takes it up to his levels of progress and growth. Then move to Auroville, which Mother has started. It already took a long time that it has to come to this land. It's not just overnight it came. She was spending a lot of days, lot of years, lot of hours. Then finally somebody is chosen to design, and she was outrightly rejecting this design. One couldn't come up. Because the training we had with this larger world, physical world, is very square-minded education, right? And the time the chief architect came with a symbolic this movement of that. Then Mother's points are something like that. Goes, details it out, and got approved. Okay, Galaxy, a model for the Auroville city. And there are also a life which Mother is inviting people from all over the world. This is again a new world is waiting to be born. That new world is not another earth or another thing. With us, that we are human being, a new world within us. Because we are a transitional being, and we are married with both the things. We might act that I am a divine, but we are still. But there is another gift comes to us as an experiment. And this experiment does not belong to any categorical, national-based, continental-based, but it is something from above. It's totally something Then again, upon an individual, how he wants to connect with above. Okay, this is that area. Let me come to the physical model of the galaxy.
Yeah.
What is again this form of the galaxy? It's a different current. Comes and get logged at the center. It's a different current. If you see each line, it's a different current. It's not like the very formed energy that it can meet, but finally it stays at the center very still. The force comes and stays still. For me, it's another symbol. And this form, beautifully, I think, again, I kept on telling people, I am graced, I am fortunate, I am kind of, to be in this experiment. See, if you see the details of everything, if you try to understand, every time you think, wow, I am really fortunate.
Yeah.
Things like that. Only thing is, then again, time to time when I interact for that harmony, because I can't expect my thing the same level. So that's a challenge for me also. It's a very big challenge. But still I have to work on that thing. I cannot ask that area to. I have to work on it. And sincerely, when you came, you said, sincere, harmony, and things like that. Sincerely, I'm trying to work. At most sincere, which I call myself, that's sincerity to me. And yes, it's a pity that after all this year passed, from 68 to till now, that I said it in another meeting also, the same thing. As a villager who knew nothing about planning, who knew nothing about architecture, who knew nothing about spirituality, I was just a villager who was working in the garden and construction. Suddenly I was lifted and put, even in this place, you see, to talk about harmony, to talk about galaxy, to talk about... All the time I'm wondering about it, why Mother is playing that role on me. At the same time, I have that proudness of, oh, Mother, thank you, thank you, thank you. I do that thing. Yeah. For me, everything is a symbol for a soul, particularly the thing what Mother asked us, that we need to step up for our own progress. Then if one is stepping up for one's progress, I think he is somewhere helping for a collective progress also. This is my conviction, very much of a conviction. No strange what is happening today. For me, I do not see it, but eventually it's a play of forces. I do see it clearly like that. And this play of forces, the result is always if I see or somebody else see, but for me it's another conviction that it's for a better step to the next. Yeah, if you know, like as a trained this man from here, I had that opportunity to work at amphitheater building while it was building. I could still remember every evening I almost go nowadays because it's needed for me. Yeah. Then I go on my past, now and future. Wow. The whole thing is like it's there already. One need to, the serenity is there, the peace is there, harmony is there. It's upon an individual to observe and be with it. It's an individual problem. For me, I'm going on, I'm not... then if I can help in this body as much that the physical manifestation, I'll be proud of it also. It's a pity now and then it's being halted. It's 2 years it's halted. And many years it was so slow. And see, now I can even reveal my little crookedness I have been trying whenever I get in the working committee as a member or a council as a member. See, for example, Matri Mandir was kept on going, finishing. I think in one of the meeting when I sometimes closely work with the secretary, like that time it was Ramasamy, the year was 2006 to 2008, I think, if I come on, let us just finish Matra Mandir, have an inauguration day. In mutual talk, then this was kind of, this man is quite clever, I mean intelligent enough, convinced the chairman, let's do that. So I think then, one occasion that Matra Mandir got inaugurated, open for, finished completion.
Yeah.
Still, although, similar thing, I'm another culprit in a closed meeting with again Ramasamy in his period. I gave him 3 targets, which for my mind, that small mind, listen, sir, if you have done the crown, the city is complete. I don't know where it came from. I said that to him. Then we did couple of walking also, me and him. Sometime then he took a bigger crowd. Whatever the walking I could make. Then that was the period, the first crown started from that, this Matra Mandir Ravantana to today this human scape. That was the first, without much detail what you are doing today, that is digging. For me, everything is a symbol. Then once you create the symbol, perfection comes after.
Okay.
The perfection comes after, but we have to work on creating that symbol. And the perfection will follow with that thing.
Okay.
Can I leave here? Then when
We
the
can come
second
back,
time, yes.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Hans. I am Aurovillian, 98, 99, so not so very long, actually. I try to be an Aurovillian. Many times I fail, and I know it. And I know too that the mother is a presence, truly. It's so easy to say, but it's quite something to realize that the mother is truly embracing all of me, not just the Aurovillian, but also the one that aspires to be an Aurovillian and fails. And that is, for me, a very important part, to understand that her embrace is always there. And it is an harmonizing influence. If I get too stuck up in my deficiencies, then I block this force of harmony. If I just relax and remain open, one day, more and more, this harmony grows. For me, it's the same towards Auroville. The galaxy model, which was there in the very beginning, I can hold on to that also as a mother. I don't need to fight for my opinions, because I have a long relationship, a problematic relationship with architecture. From a body awareness perspective, I don't see much of it, and probably will not see much of it, but it's okay. I embrace this model to relieve me of my opinions, whether they are right or wrong, because I might not always be right. So the galaxy model, for me, matter matters. No, it's something we were given so that we need not argue too much. If I wish body awareness to come into the buildings, I would join the groups that are working, and in a harmonious way, with patience, respecting everybody that is already there, and then slowly discuss my perspective, and that's then happening in those groups that are doing the work. So part of my loyalty to the galaxy is also in the people who are now working to manifest this material city. We have a head of urban design, we have all the groups, and for me this is very important to have us move in harmony. There should be some loyalty, even a kind of uplifting energy towards everybody working in these groups. And trust in this galaxy, because that is also the mother's embrace for me. The all problems of existence are, all problems of harmony are problems of existence. What is it? All problems of existence are problems of harmony. This is what Sri Aurobindo says. As soon as there is the other, I exist here, the other exists there, there's another body, literally, and we have different opinions. And there it starts. And as soon as there's the other, all kinds of energies come into play. And if we wish to work in harmony, all of us, especially teams working, would have to be engaged in a facilitated process so as not to end up in this pool of forces and patterns and archetypal energies. So we need also, as teams, as small collectives, to consciously make sure you declutter the situation so harmony can manifest. Personally, I think I should also remind us that we all need a personal practice, be it walking, swimming, meditating, breathing, or anything. Because without release in your own system, you will be slave to these patterns, not maybe in your own life, but as soon as the other comes into the picture, with other opinions, yeah? So one has to remember this, to declutter oneself and the space around, the people around. The Matra Mandir, I always felt such a yearning to have it literally open into the city. Literally no fence, and that is the thing. When that happens, oh, that is going to be something. So that opening would need another ripple, and that is the crown. The crown would make sure that there is a harmonious atmosphere, and it is not attacked all the time by unconscious flow of traffic or whatever. So for me, the crown is also a kind of expression to allow the Matra Mandir to open up fully into the society. One can only imagine then what kind of influence that will have. That is what I wanted to say, I think, about it. The harmony also asks for being attentive, no, to the decluttering and to not react compulsively or out of nervousness, or and to cling on to her, which is this galaxy model for me, or harmony itself. To cling to that as a means, and to enjoy that work together. It should not be too difficult, actually. Truly speaking, we are here to discover a great joy in manifesting this city. Without joy, what else is there? What else? Without the joy in your decisions, if there's no joy, doesn't make much sense. Thank you.
Thank you, Hans.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, thank you. So we slowly, thanks for all your notes to begin with. It sets a standard. Arimani, I would come to you now. On day one, you were part of the panel, and I remember you referring to Matra Mandir as something that sets the standard for all of us. It kind of, that in itself being a challenge, that it demands us to raise ourselves. And then you talked about this Matra Mandir radiating its effect outwardly on the city. So, and now Ramanji also talked about this forces being the flow, the design in itself is inviting for other energies to come in, and it culminates in the center. And when I look at this radiating aspect, the ripple effect, and then this energy that comes in, and somehow metaphorically I think it crosses in the city center, that's a crown. So to learn from to take a leaf from that, how do you see us emanating the qualities, the ideas of perfection towards little bit outside towards the city or towards the city center? How can we, what is the lived experience of last 55 years of manifesting the peace area? How do we learn from that and use that experience to manifest our city center?
I think that
Yeah.
I think that the Mahatma Mandir itself, I mean, the building of the Mahatma Mandir should become should awaken us memories, because we have so much resistances to the Mahatma Mandir as it is now. We didn't want that, I mean, collectively. It was a big conflict. We forget that. That we resist. We didn't want the discs. We didn't want the elements, that the interior of the Mahatma Mandir. It's not working.
Yeah, can you hear? Is the audio okay? Yeah? Can you keep, yeah, can you be a little louder? Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, this reference is very strong. And now Mahatma Mandir is standing there with all these elements, and we don't question anymore. It is this presence of Mahatma Mandir. And I think for the galaxy, for the city, it will be the same. That one day when it will be manifested, then we realize how we waste our time, that we should rush to do it, because it will be, I mean, something from another level.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I believe that this galaxy, this city, is extremely powerful shape. And we are afraid of that. We are not ready to jump into that, because it means a huge change. It means a big transformation in each one of us.
Yeah.
And I think this resistance, and that this difficulty, this no.
Yeah.
When if you say yes, I mean, in 5 years could be done. Which is
yeah. So what's the learning from this whole constant conflict, and how do we aspire for perfection given there is this conflict? There is always this need to also take care of the other's opinion, and then you also aspire, like you said, the Mahatma Mandir demands us to be of higher quality. How do we harmonize these two aspects, between the conflict and?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to bring forward what you are within. I mean, I believe that, most of us living in Auroville, will have a deep and sincere relationship with Mahatma Mandir. And I believe that this could become the bridge, because the moment that this inner connection with Mahatma Mandir can become more in front, and you get this inner connection with the total manifestation of Auroville, I think this will be the key. I mean, the key for our progress is is to bring forward, first to acknowledge which relationship I have with Mahatma Mandir, what Mahatma Mandir is for us. So the moment we realize that, if we can expand this relationship to what the city will be, because we cannot have a city different, other than what Mahatma Mandir is. It should be the same quality. But for that, we have to build this within ourselves. But we have to be ready for that. We have to let go so many things, to say yes for that.
Yeah, that's quite challenging. Anu, I would like to ask, you talked about this paradox. And then I look at this right now, present moment, and there is a paradox of this being a city for peace, unity, and there's aspiration for calm, quietude. And then we have this chaos. And right now this city center is the epicenter of this chaos. How do we address this paradox? What is the necessity for in your opinion, about this perfectly circular crown road? Why not give in to the chaos and and manifest it so that we can achieve calm or peace? How do you address the paradox?
See, I'll tell you. Let me start with two little stories.
Okay.
Okay. It's not really a story. It's see, when the mother was writing the charter, so she starts and she says, Auroville belongs to nobody in particular, belongs to humanity as a whole.
Yeah. If you keep closer, yeah.
And then she says, and then I'm not saying anything about citizens or anything of that kind.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm saying is this. But to live in Auroville, one must be a willing servitor of the divine consciousness. This is if you read, I think it's the 7th of February 1968 conversation.
Okay.
And then she says, I know they will not be happy with that, but I don't care. That is what the Matri Mandir is, the divine consciousness. It is not being said here, but that is what it is. So evidently she has put that force in place.
Mm-hmm.
Whether she is here physically or not, that force has been consciously put at the center, and she started with that. Even though when Auroville was inaugurated in 68, there was nobody knew what was coming in the middle, but she knew. Yeah, and she even had the name for this place. So that is one thing. The other thing, when you're talking about the chaos, and Aryamani mentioned all the different, the conflict that we had.
Yeah.
So also Matri Mandir went through years of conflict. We kind of went through all kinds of, discussions about this and that. And one of the major points was the outer skin. What would it be?
Yeah.
And there were all kinds of models being presented. And finally, a clay model, something in Keat, there were all kinds of things. And then finally it came down to two models. One in marble. There was a huge group which was in favor of that, and there was another, and then the architect himself presented what the mother had actually okayed. Okay. So by then what has happened is that, you see, all the little nitty-gritty detail, when you're talking about harmony, all those solutions had to be found. The way the outer skin, what do you call them?
Discs?
The beams, no.
Yeah, the beams.
The beams had been placed. You couldn't have the original exact model the way...
Yeah, the one, the straight.
So that had to be then reconfigured, and it was done. So there were these two models, and this is the famous marathon meeting we had for about, 3 days, and one day, which was this longest, I think, 10 hours or 14 hours, I forget what. And there was a moment, I remember walking in, and there was like everybody slumped. It was that everybody had come to the end of the road. We had argued ourselves to the end of everything. Okay. And there was nothing else to say, and no way forward. Okay. And there was one Aurovillian, I will name her Joy. She just got up when everybody was sitting quietly, and she went to the next room where these two models were kept. And she came back after 10 minutes, and she says, I just had a look at them. They're both so beautiful. But there's one which looks like the moon, it's beautiful as the moon, and the other one is radiant, is like the sun. So where do we want to go? Do we want to go to the moon, or do we want to go to the sun? Nice. It was something so simple. Nice. And I think it was that moment of surrender. And I just feel that perhaps we have to find that child, not childlike, it's just that possibility of innocence in ourselves to surrender, to what we came for. I mean, so many of us came because we saw the city plan, and that has inspired so many people. True. So, and those were the two givens. We cannot wish them away on February. The charter, the charter, of course, but first of all, the city plan. So the mother had worked with the architect for almost 3 years. She wouldn't be wasting her time if she didn't want it.
So the charter was prepared after the city?
After the plan was approved. Okay. So that happened for 3 years. It was approved on the 21st of January 68. She wrote the charter on the 7th of February, so almost a big gap.
1 month after?
No, not 1 month. Couple of weeks, 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, and by then the preparations for the inauguration
Had
was
already
on.
begun.
Yeah. So just to see, like it's the two things were set in place. When you say read in the charter that it's a place of material and spiritual researches. So those two things she had set in place from day one.
Yeah.
So when people were coming into the amphitheater, it's such an amazing photograph. You see this huge, 3 or 4 meter by 4 meter picture of the galaxy plan. So that's the gateway. People are coming in and they go to the amphitheater where this city is being actually...
You're talking about the inauguration.
Yeah,
28
because people are being
February
invited
68.
to the city, to the inauguration of the city. And then you go to the amphitheater where the charter is read out. And the city is dedicated with a purpose for humanity, for everybody. Yeah. So I think if we can come to terms with that, I still hear, and there's no point fighting anybody or arguing with anybody. It's just each one has to go, find out and come to terms with it. That look, this is what was set in place. These are our two givens, and we have to work with them, and they go together. The material and the spiritual, the consciousness and the matter, whatever. So we have to work with the two of them, and our ability to do that is our ability to harmonize. After all, there was this story of the model town. When the mother was asked, what is the work you all are doing? This was back in 1931, and she says, the work that is happening now is a work in consciousness, which Aurobindo has called the supramental, and it's a work of connection. So once the connection between the supramental consciousness and matter is made, it has to have an effect in the outer life, in the outer material world, in the form of a model town. So it was set in motion.
Right.
So as soon as the supramental descent happens, until then she doesn't speak of it. As soon as that happens, she starts looking for a land. And as soon as she finds a land, she looks for an architect. She wouldn't do all these things if it was just another place, just another extended ashram or something.
Right.
Okay, as I've gone on for too long.
Okay, Ramanji, I would like to look at this same city center from this point of view. You were there in Matri Mandir in those days. And then there was also, I hear that there used to be a camp, Matri Mandir camp.
Workers' camp.
Workers' camp, So it was a place of their living. They had their children who were born there, who grew up there, perhaps. So at a moment, there came a moment where they had to be asked to leave so that Matri Mandir can be made, correct? The gardens or... drawing from that experience, how do you look at this particular city center right now? What do you think, like she said, the joy moment, the moment of joy, where you can have that simplicity, that innocence, to look at whatever that circular thing is, and you bring the analogy of the moon and the sun, and suddenly everything opens up, no?
Yes.
Can I request you to come up with something such analogy like for our crown?
She was narrated what I wanted to also. She was just, because we are all having the same history.
Yes.
See, narration more or less same with a different wording.
Correct.
Different dialect, different thing. Here, listen. It's like this. Let me just start with stories a little bit. No?
Beautiful.
All the people from all over the world hearing about Auroville comes to Pondicherry.
Right.
Then they get an appointment. Sometimes they want curious to have an appointment with mother to meet her.
Right.
Before that, this is again the story I heard. I never met directly mother except darshan. The time they met her and the mother have seen them or blessed, their life completely changed. They all say the same thing.
Right.
They all say the same thing. And taking that into Matri Mandir now. See, in the galaxy, Matri Mandir was a symbol, not even that design. There was a symbolic something I put in that original first model. Then later the Patel galaxy and the Matra Mandir came in that galaxy model. And while detailing it out, Roger had always a communication. Mother always went to a trance to see. Mother always said, I saw the size of the chamber or the height of the thing. She assisted in her physical form, helped to manifest whatever can be possible at that hour.
Even the pillars inside the chamber. It's
Yes.
not pillar, it's just a vision that she saw.
Yes, like she was sketching it, whatever, then
Correct.
developed. Today, whenever I go again sit at Matu Mandir, I do want to not separate Mother and Matar Mandir. I needed to go to Pandi to have a balcony darshan. I'm lucky every day I'm having Mother Darshan right there. For me, it's a Mother Darshan.
Okay.
That's my personal experience. Okay, the experience of being around there, living in the camp, just from the banyan tree towards southwest, there was a small circular pond.
Okay.
With water filled. So I was working at the amphitheater, just watering the brick. Then time to time, once in 15 days, somebody would ask me, not somebody, the in-charge person will ask me, go and clean the pond. We will scrape it. There was a column pattern. After some time the algae form, you don't see that column. Again, you'll have to scratch it. But much later, I come to know this column pattern was drawn with Roger. Roger was drawing along with the Tamil ladies.
Yes.
Right into the pond.
It's a plan.
Yes,
right?
there was a pond. And I always imagine, even today, from the banyan tree, a radius of about 25-30 meter should have been kept the original thing, whatever the benches, the circular platform, that tall brick.
Yeah.
It's only in my memory, or sometime when I see that rope, they post some picture, then my memory, this. So then we should have developed it. This is my aspiration, although it's a different form it takes now. Like, when working from the camp to the structure, it was like a home. Those people who lived in the camp, although we were from a different places, different nation, we felt one home. The time the breakfast at the kitchen, then we all walked to that thing, without any force. Somebody sat back at you, whipping you, work that. Your own freedom to do, or if you want to sleep in the camp, you sleep that day. Like you are joining in many teams. There were a couple of teams, right. That team for that team. I was in this fabrication team of this triangle beam.
Okay.
In the last year. Before that, I was always attending in the concreting night. Night concreting like that. So, it was not a feeling that you are working for something else. You are working for your own. That was my feeling.
How do you let go of your place? Was it easy? If you lived there, how do you let go of your place, of your house, of your...
See, I left very early there.
Okay.
Like I found, because there was a rule in the camp. When you got married, you cannot live there. No smoking, no. Then the time I got married, I left that camp voluntarily. Okay. And then in the end, it was left with mostly the Tamil people along with Lakshmi Narayanan, nobody else, about 7 families. Then that's where another, the housing project came in, and they went coolly because they were looking for another alternate.
Okay.
Then they went, and then the whole thing got flattened and whatever the landscape at that time. Okay. It was not that they were agitating, we are not going to move out. Never like that.
Okay.
They were simply waiting for even if you see the shelter they have been provided, it's a harsh word, I'm going to use it. To design such a thing, it's a mistake.
Yeah.
It's a box of 3 meter by 3 meter of couple of boxes for somebody to live in.
Yeah, the person who
Today
lives there...
it has become a slum of Auroville.
Yeah, the person who lives there calls it a chicken coop. Anyway, a chicken coop.
No, it's a pity that, to imagine people of connecting them with the economy status and
Correct.
give them a space.
Correct.
They have to create a space in Auroville based on the spirit of Auroville.
Right.
Whether 20, 40, whatever it is. But luckily, we people don't fight. We live there, slowly we build our own thing.
Nice.
That's how we moved and things. See, like she narrated very beautifully all this. There are thousands of stories like that at Matu Mandir, you know. Somebody suddenly overnight brings one model, that area of Matu Mandir, one ball, suddenly a lake sticking out with the 4 pillars, you know. Still the bund was kept, you know, the excavation soil was like the hill what you see today for the lake.
Yeah.
That mount was just close by. He kept it, so there was plenty of trees there.
Yeah.
That gentleman wanted to keep that as a part of Matu Mandir, you see. Things will always crop upon the development of an individual who is at that time managing things like that, like today also. So it will take, but eventually I think it's a matter of time, it will all fall. You know, suddenly somebody decided, although I don't like this narrow channel of that water, but it's a symbol again. It's a very symbolic thing. Then the lake came.
Yeah.
Over, you know, in a fixed, very. So I appreciate that within me. Wow, things are happening. Don't worry, Raman. Don't worry, things are happening. Whatever you see in your lifetime, be happy with that. You know, don't complain. This is how I go with my
You
life.
see it. Okay. Hans, Ramanji nicely put it up. It being a symbol, you know, and symbol has power. You know that. How do you look at the city center also being a symbol? How can we be serious about this symbol also? And what is your view on right now the land not being there, and even the land that we have, people being attached to it? And does it symbolically, why can't we just meander around it? How symbolic is the importance of sticking to the plan, according to you?
I have to say the city center. I feel the way people are with each other, this needs to be looked at, because as individuals, you go to the chamber, you have your own relation, you have your own sadhana. As soon as there is the other, the problems arise. And it's funny because this place has human unity and diversity in its aspiration, reality. But we are very far away from human unity because we never, I can't say that. We should pay more attention to how we treat each other in details, very practical, down to earth, how we are with the other. And that's why I come back to the modern age. By divine grace, we have now really ways of looking at this that are very effective. The Jungian psychology, the archetypal energies, how to work as a team, and it needs to become part of our society. That this comes out more, and this for me is also I don't know, I can make it up, but the city center. What did you ask me about the land?
About the realities, no? How should we, the symbolism of going with the perfect plan, going with the plan, versus meandering and agreeing to people's compulsions.
So there will be no end to the meandering because I am the other with another opinion. I am the other architect who gets another team and who does some research and says, no, this is not good, it should be done like this. And then there will be another opinion and another team. And this is not a harmonious way, this is a lobbyist kind of way. And it's never ending. That's why I say that the galaxy as a model gives the base, and then there's a lot of detailed work to do for people. I am very happy that we still have a lot of people who are so in touch with that since the beginning and with Roger.
Yeah.
And we need to, I just want to say I respect that a lot. You know, I love to hear the stories and the insights, and that's another thing. So the meandering you should not ask me, because I don't want this tough guy Hans to come out and start, saying things. I can also be quiet, but for me it's a very strange. It's
Okay.
very natural to stick to something and not start. I don't know. That model has power in the way it is, and people apparently do not look at it enough. I don't know. What was the other? There was one more thing.
The symbolism and the importance of being perfect. No, it's and the influence on others. What do you think the symbolism and this being the city center being the perfect circle and its influence on the other, and also if you can touch upon, we had while manifesting Matri Mandir we had conflicts issues, and then that when we are emanating out for the city center, it's amplified now, it's much bigger. And then perhaps we should also strap ourselves, get ready for even bigger challenges when we go to the green belt and manifest, get the land.
I think
how do you look at it?
Yeah, so there is a timing to everything. We know it. Sometimes suddenly things happen very rapidly. Things get done, and then there are ages of conflict and
slumber
and delay. For me, the very basic ground reality of how we deal with the other is important, because we don't do that enough. So the teams need to be empowered more by this facilitating this process of how you work together, declutter the space, and we all need to get engaged in this more, because there are miscommunications happening. As soon as there's the other, there is miscommunication. So to meet on another level, you would need to have a process of decluttering the situation, so that no longer there is this compulsive, nervous, get my opinion through, I see it this way, and then the other will immediately react to what I say, and then it goes on, and it can go on for days, right? You mentioned. But for me, the loyalty to this model is the key.
Paramount. Okay.
And why not? I mean, why not? Should it be another model then? Somebody else? And this was like mentioned here, that this was in the very beginning there, no? This was very clear in the beginning, and Roger, and the city center, I don't know, I feel that it will be people, you see, in Auroville it's very nice that we meet each other accidentally, par hasard, the joyful meetings. This will be the city center where we meet joyfully by chance and have moments. Auroville is very much part of our life here, I think everybody knows. And so that will be part of that. It's not. I don't think it's been done before in the world, this kind of city center. And think about that. It's much larger than your own opinions and than your own. And one can argue endlessly on whether or not it should go round or straight or circular. Circular makes sense to me because the people who are really engaged and involved in it feel that that is the way to do it, and that was there since the beginning. So then, okay. I don't know if it... Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Anu, you can quickly give a...
Okay, I was just thinking about the meandering thing.
Yeah.
And just to go back to that story about the different versions of the Matri Mandir outer skin, it was a form of meandering. We meandered through that for at least a good year or two at least.
Right.
And all the arguments and everything. But in the end, it came down to what she approved. So that is somewhere there, I think if we have that inner simplicity or inner sincerity to accept what are the givens, it'll make our relationship to how we develop and how we grow with each other easier.
Okay.
Because right now we are fighting kind of phantoms across the board, which is really sad, because we are wasting time, we are wasting the beauty of Auroville, we are wasting Auroville hours, and which belong to the mother. That's awesome.
Okay, Aryamani, if I can come to now that we looked at the aspirational qualities of this city center and how we can achieve it. What do you think are the challenges at present? And also I would like you to reflect upon the time. Now, we took 55 years, even now the peace area is still in the making, right? Even the lake is not yet done. So, should we be really concerned about the time, or how do you look at it? What are the challenges for the city? City center is huge. It's a crown way, and then there are multiple zones coming in and merging into each other. It's a humongous task if you look at it that way. And are we prepared? And also this is a city which is built, which is imagined for 50,000 people. We are not even 10% of it. So are we there already? Are we ready to create the container, or the container, the vessel is it necessary now? Is it the right time?
Yes. I think we have to accelerate our growth. We are late. You see, I have to share my experience. I was born in Brazil, and I was a child when Brasilia was, the project was Brasilia, that was to move the capital, no, to another place. And even now I can remember so well how this project awoke the whole country. We are building this new city, the future. So we could be against or pro or whatever. So in 5 years was done. So we can question whatever we can question. But Brasilia and Auroville, they have more or less the same age, so the 60s.
Okay.
And the thing that I want to come is first the enthusiasm. So what was created with the birth of this city, that as a child I could feel, and I still remember this enthusiasm, this energy that was created in the country. And when I think about Auroville, I mean that we must have a meaning, that you have to wait for 54 years before you really could accelerate this process. Mm-hmm. But I think we should accelerate, and with enthusiasm and joy, and with this perspective, that we are building the future. We are building it not even for us. And if I can go even farther than that. I would say that for me, building Auroville is a way that the Mother gave to us to work on us. It's not only building the city, but we are giving ourselves to her work. We are not thinking about myself, my work, my decision, my and I, but we are offering ourselves. Then we forget. I mean, we can forget about you. Give yourself. And then she's doing the spiritual work, she's doing the yoga for us, through the work, through all. And I mean, Roger insisted that you should have all around Auroville, like openings towards the Matmandir, that Matmandir could be seen from everywhere where you were. So he could always insist on that, have this opening that you could see Matmandir. And the schools being this place where we have now, the kindergarten, the creches and all, that the children should grow, under the presence of the Matmandir. Right. For Roger, this was one of the things that he insisted, the relationship between Auroville, Matmandir, and the residents of Auroville.
Wonderful. Anu, I would like to take a cue from her point and say that she's nicely put it as work, the manifestation being the means also to inner work. And I do not know if I can say, brave to say that not even 10% of us are right now engaged in the manifestation aspect of Auroville. Far few are really engaged in it. So how is that a challenge right now, that very less Aurovillians are concerned about the manifestation of Auroville? And how do you think we can work on that?
I wish I had an answer, but that's what has to happen. That we have to all come forward and work on different aspects. In the same way we had joy in working at Matri Mandir. That was the main work. Everybody came. That was the work to be done.
Right.
People gravitated there.
Yeah.
Whether it was in the morning, whether it was at night,
Correct.
you worked. And
so how do we invite people to camp out on our
see,
city
right
center?
now, I personally feel that the Crown is a magnificent opportunity for all of us to come together.
Okay.
And especially the youth, because here's where we shouldn't get stuck in there's the basic road has to be laid. That's just the circulation point, but everything else around it is for us to imagine and do, and there's so much possibility. I mean, I remember sitting through a meeting where we had some of the kids from the youth center and all, and they had great ideas. Let's have an international poetry cafe. Let's have this. Let's have that. So, and all that merged with gardens. All that merged with but a very living center.
Right.
It's an Auroville life that we have to create there. And each of the zones will have a different aspect. It will have different things.
Different character
happening,
to it.
Different character. So really, it's a wonderful opportunity for us to come together and work together. And this we always say Auroville is a place for karma yoga. So that's how we started,
Right.
Mandir or whatever else, tree
Yeah.
planting, everything. So this is also an opportunity for us to come together, work together, and leave our.
So what do you
behind.
tell to those people who say, been there, done that, karma yoga over?
How can it? It's a place of unending education, so it's an unending
Correct.
yoga. So that's
Yeah.
that's the traveling
on a
path of
lighter note.
consciousness,
Yes.
no?
Yeah.
So we can't do
Absolutely.
without that. Otherwise, you stagnate and you die.
Absolutely.
So,
So, talking of progress, I remember seeing a note somebody forwarded to me, you, Ramanji. In 1998, December 31, you published something in News and Notes.
Oh, yeah, you reminded me that.
You published something. I read that. And it said, let's, in the new year, 1999, let's come together and make the Crown and city center or, So, 99 and this is 2023 and we are still saying the same message, right?
Yeah.
So why this decades of dallying, why this? Is this a challenge and how do we overcome this?
See, when I wrote that, there was already the forces or the human limitation, let's put it. We human have always limitation over anything want to manifest.
Right.
Then we keeping the limitation, trying to win the limitation with the masses. And when I wrote at that time, there is already the development is beginning outside that thing, which I saw it's going to engulf Auroville, which is going to take time to really build Auroville in the form of what is dreamt or what is designed. That made to write me at that time.
Right.
And as you say, we are even today struggling and engulfed more and more inside the city area. When I wrote, there was one or two development along that Kuilapalayam road towards Auroville. But you see, inside Auroville, supported by fellow Aurovillian, there are a lot of this kind of development is happening, private development, ownership thing.
Yeah.
Because this ownership thing does not want to leave from us. I'm not pointing out this. So we are stuck with that thing because it comes from our past memory. See, this is why I always explained about charter of Auroville to my Tamil students. Unless you can understand the highermost, the so-called yogic lesson or Ramana thing, it was put so simplified version in this this title, this below. I think one need to I try to explain them in a pyramid way, the first one.
Yeah.
I tried, which is possible also. You can write a huge book on that thing.
Correct.
If somebody can be able to write.
Right.
So these are all the things have to be put in a satsanga so that people become aware of it. Today I would put it in awareness, not innocent but ignorant. Ignorance and this is there. And with the ignorance, the ego also falls. There is no too big difference between these two. For me, it's the same thing. Ego developed because of the ignorance.
Ego and ignorance.
Yeah, ego and ignorance. That I will stress it. The thing is, as a learned people or whatever, we will have to keep on trying to light the lamp of Auroville, bring that light.
Correct.
In a small way, satsang, very friendly, not forcing. Things like to make it ever. Then if they cooperate or non-cooperate, that is their problem.
Right.
But without knowing, we cannot expect people to collaborate immediately.
Right.
That's impossible for me. And that's what the thing I tried. 1 year I went, but suddenly this broke. I don't know why, the reason. The Crown Road started, youth that center problem, things like that. Everything went back down. No? All my students are against me because they believe in camping system of, this hore things like that. Then I do still because, see, let me go back a little bit history of Tamil Nadu here.
Yeah.
If you allow me 1-2 minutes more.
History of Tamil Nadu.
Yeah,
1-2 minutes.
Little
Good.
bit. Yeah, listen. See, there was a huge mismanagement of that so-called Hinduism. Then Buddhism took it over. Very, very, very. And then the Jainism took it over. Then, because of the limitation, again it has to be revived because Hinduism not a religion of particular thing, then again revived. So if you know very well, the most Buddhism went from the whole world is from Sri Lanka and Tamil Nadu. But doesn't live here anymore. You know why? Because we are in such a land, sacred land. Something want to express. That is why there was a pulling of these forces. Name it Vivekananda, name it Tirumoolar, name it Agatya, name it Sri Aurobindo, Mother. It is still there, Might well we try to, like this I can talk for hours in this thing.
Yeah.
I went through this kind of this thing. So that satsanga is needed, awareness is needed. So the collaboration can be better for the manifestation of this city. Just not the physical form of the city, building, steel, the life form,
Yeah.
Life. See, at some point in time, I was a bit aggressive also. I was making some in the meeting fighting also, I wanted a gardener as well as a great architect should be respected in the same manner.
Correct.
It is that chance you got, you became that. It should not allow in Auroville to have that, discrepancy of hierarchy. Unfortunately, we are developing because that force is penetrating and conquering Auroville now. And I think slowly we need to realize this kind of thing. And again, it's a satsang problem. It should be like our children was never told what is Auroville again. They are here 33 years, 36 years, never told. Neither by me, nor by the school, nor by the life here. We all thought, their children are born here, they naturally have that thing. What you see is naturally what is happening today. So something, I don't know the method, I don't know what, but more than that, believing, but it has to be practiced. That's what Mother have started,
Right.
Then she never asked people to go and meditate in the cave. Express it in manifestation.
In material.
So what you see, the expression is our people of this many population living in Auroville at present is the expression of today Auroville.
Right. Yeah. Thank you. I would like, as the how aspect, a little bit if you can throw a light on, we talk about this big plans and when it comes to collectively manifesting it, some individuals find it really difficult to accept it. So how can we individually look at the city center and see that, it holds value for me? I mean, see, if it's a Matri Mandir, you can understand it's a place of concentration. If it's a peace area, we understand. But when it comes to the city center, it looks as if it's a place of library, a solar kitchen, as if it's not that important, then it might as well be my house in that sense. How can we look little bit, take a bird's eye view and look at the need to accede to this larger plan?
Yeah, or take a view of a down-to-earth crawling
Bug's view.
over the ground. Yeah, because it's a shock, but the city itself is something ordinary also. It's made of materials, there are buildings, some like it, some don't. And just accept that, no? It's the atmosphere that matters, that is there. The wonderful people coming and going. And the ordinary aspect of it, I think, scares us people. also. And again, I come back to the thing about I don't know many people who share my opinion, but how shocking it is that just a material thing can matter so much, even if it is ordinary. The context in which it is built, the way and with the deeper meanings, the layers in that model form. Yeah, I think it's very shocking that something ordinary can be so meaningful. I don't know the question actually. Am I responding? Tell me.
Yeah, in a way, if individually, how can you look at the city center and contribute towards it?
Yeah, so I want us all to recognize the fact that as individual, one person can bring down a project in Auroville. We all know this.
Yeah.
And somehow we need to work towards that is not okay anymore. That one person can destroy your project or anything. Just one. How did that, what is that, you know? So it's also about, again, respect for the group, the authority of that group working on planning in this case should be there, no? Because if there are 5 of us, any of us, working in that group of 6 or 7 or 8, it's already enough. They have to deal with each other also. They are personalities, like in Auroville we are all quite individual, well, anyway, personalities with all kinds of problems and arrogance and experience also. It's enough. They have to deal with each other.
Yeah.
And they have to make decisions. So why, you know, that's a decision, then it's done. I think that's, I know it's against my anarchic nature, but yeah. Again, am I answering the question?
No, it's okay. So time is short, so I'm going to go into the final what aspects. What is it that we need, the characters of Crown and the city center around the peace area? So if you can talk about any aspect that you consider as a important tenet of the city center, is may it be the Crown Road, Crown Way, may it be the zones merging into the green aspect, which is part of it also.
The zones coming together is also one of the wonderful aspects of this model, how it works with the zones, how they move into each other, that there's not really sectors, but they are flowing and touching each other. And my son is 7, so he's part of the schooling, and he used to be in the kindergarten and Nandanam. And to have those children move in that space harmoniously, that's something special. Not in confined, but there's openness, there's flow, there's fluidity. Yeah, I don't think it's been done before, like I said. So that for me is important.
So Ramanji, if you can talk about this flow and fluidity, and perhaps right now the flow and fluidity is most enjoyed by the motor vehicles. How do we get away from our habit of motor, from this particularly the city center?
I remember one of the architects who is not here, back to USA, but he was always crazy, and his name is Joel Goodman. And you know, at that time we did not have a big bike, just a simple moped. You know, this gentleman would keep parking the moped at Abri, which today we call it a nodal zone for all the other development. He would pick up his cycle, come to Auroville. He is the guy who started, in fact, Bliss community. Because his first house was here at Pump House. He lifted, very simple, beautiful, lifted and shifted there because it was an open field with a lot of this tuft grass, we call it. Grass height at that time, not much plantation. Then Bhavanas joined, things like that. You know, if you go to the history of today's development, it is like that, but it's not spoiled at all, I tell you. Only thing, we will have to have an aspiration to build it. The zoning, everything, it's not that much spoiled, very, very small thing. Somehow people kept it for a long time, it is still there. As we build, it will form. Again, awareness is important. Awareness is too cheap word I am putting, but the nice word is aspiration. That is the important thing, have to be developed, cultivated from all of us. Somehow, I don't know, I don't want to be a guru here or preaching here. We people take it that model, but my aspiration is that we all have that one aspiration, that is harmony of human unity, and seeing this galaxy thing with that original design comes up without much compromising with human ego. I don't mind compromising with natural thing, but the story is twisted here. Because I know I've been walking from my village to Matru Mandir almost 3 years. Then I used to walk from here to Aspiration sometime in the monsoon, because the idea is my cycle will get mud. So I will keep the cycle clean, I would walk for hours. Then come back walking from Roger's office back to my house. Things like that. But today the life practice is that, even if you want to go to your neighbor, which we learned it, don't mistake me, maybe from the West, you take your car to your neighbor's house and park entering. We are forgetting our natural instinct of walking, the joy of walking. We are two-legged animal designed to walk. If we have relearned that thing, I think a lot of problem will be solved by now. It has to be practiced a bit, and also it can be connected with health issue, things like that. And then couple of simple rules, it's needed.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what happens if rules in the sense another discipline?
Yeah.
Because people are into that thing. Even today, if I go on my cycle, what happened to your bike? If I go with my bike, guy, you are living here, all the guys are purchased car, why don't you buy a car? So this is the life trend here.
Yeah.
So again, we need to change that life. Auroville is not the place. It is a place of living with the nature, growing towards a higher, things like that. Because I'm not wording it correct, but to the spirit of Auroville,
Right.
And why? Because imagine the distance between center to that edge of that galaxy is only 1.25 kilometer.
So do you think in near future it is possible that within the city center there is only walking?
Mostly
and
walking. If some emergency thing comes, vehicle comes and pick it and do it like that. Vehicle is out of the city.
You still think it is possible?
Because we don't need speed even more than 5 kilometers an hour here.
Walking is better than
Yes, walking is the best, I'm telling you. No, then progressively if you want cycle, things like that, but definitely no pollution or no four-wheelers which goes faster. The speed already disturbs the peace.
Right.
Believe it.
Right.
It disturbs it. It's in an area that it like an arrow.
Correct.
Shot
It
in the
pierces.
piece area.
All right.
Like that. It breaks that thing. And I think eventually, slowly we practice and build that thing. It's easy because it's not a greater distance, 2.5 kilometers across to walk.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks. I think it's a great learning for people who think we are two-handed creature to drive.
I think we all have discomfort with things, because we think immediately like, oh, okay, my kid, I have to bring him here, I have to bring him there, maybe 3-4 times a day.
Yeah.
How am I going to do this? So there is a balance between, like, I have to live with this discomfort, and it's okay, yeah. And first building, making the thing happen so that I won't have discomfort.
Correct. And also I would...
Because in that plan, we will not have discomfort on a public movement. It will be better than...
No, in that argument I would say, for example, I have kids. Had it not been for the traffic, they would go on their own. It is because there is traffic, I have to go and drop them and pick them.
True.
Yeah.
Also,
Anu, what do you think are the crucial elements that needs to come? It's not just the crown, no? The crown way, the city center is far more. So what are the key elements that you see? One thing that comes to my mind is Siru.
Before getting to Siru, I think the first thing is education. That we know what this city is. So much conflict is happening, like what we are saying. The city was meant to be a pedestrian town. We forget that. And we've kind of projected, we've looked at the city plan and we've looked at it with fear. And we haven't really gone into what it was meant to be. All those covered places are actually shaded walkways, they're not concrete buildings. There are many things like that interwoven, because the inspiration was taken from the old towns, like in Rajasthan or in the medieval towns, where we didn't have motorable traffic in those days. So the idea was to have a pedestrian town. And the crown is crucial to achieve that pedestrian town. It's not to go zing, zing, zing with your car.
It's not a racetrack.
Absolutely not. It's the opposite. So what he said, this story of Joel Goodman, that was part of the original plan, that you have these service nodes, they're meant for that. They are meant to make the transfer. So anybody coming from outside, I mean, we are supposed to eventually go towards the e-mobility. What did the mother say? She wanted 65, she's saying this, that she says electric cars, 15 kilometers an hour. That means it's not just for the crown, it's for the whole town. Something which corresponds with this feeling of the Matriman, this very quiet town.
Correct.
Non-polluting. You know, somewhere, and that whole ability for us to be a walkable town.
Right.
Walkability is an important ingredient there. You know? And there's this very famous, he's a sustainable urban designer, he's very well known, Jan Gale. He says it's no use making just green buildings, that's not the point. You have to create the life. And then you hear Roger when he's talking about the ability of people to meet each other, cross each other, have spaces. That's a city center. It's a very living, walkable, beautiful place. You know, where kids can hang out, anybody can hang out. You can sit and talk to people, you can sit and read a book, you know. You can sit by the pond, whatever. You know, you take care of the ponds, you take care of the water storage.
Right.
Because there will be overflow coming from the lake.
Right.
So all the overflow will go into the city center. That's why there are all these green corridors.
Yeah.
They absorb all that, you know.
Yeah.
So we have to really work with something which is so, you know, I mean, it's such a, I would say, far-reaching plan. They're talking about in '66 in Paris and UNESCO when they introduce all that. They're talking about rainwater harvesting, soil and energy, you know, stuff which is now in contemporary times, which all the urban designers are taking into consideration. And the fact that you have to build density.
Right.
You cannot live forever far. That is also part of in a beautiful, breathable way. Not, you don't stack people together and all that. So all those things are for us to do. So I think the first thing which needs to really happen before we build this or that will happen automatically. You know, Siru will come. But it's this self-knowledge of ourselves which seems to be hugely lacking, and we are kind of fighting, I don't know, ghosts right now. Siru, for example, it epitomizes what is to happen in the international zone. So you have all the international pavilions, and Siru is somewhere which will harness all the knowledge base of all these different pavilions or continental clusters. And it's also the bridge between the international zone and the cultural zone, where our kids are growing up, where our culture is growing. So it's really, she actually called it the first pole of development of Auroville, 1969. We forget that we had a master plan done under her. And so
she called Siru the first, or
no, she calls international zone. So there will be two poles of growth, the cultural zone and international zone. And at the same time that she starts Matrimandi, she starts the international zone with this building.
When did Siru come into the plan?
Siru was already there. It was already in the curve of that towards
inside the city center.
Yeah, it was already there.
So what other aspects of residential zone and cultural zone and industrial zone epitomizes that particular respective zones? Like you said, for international zone it is Siru. What is it for residential?
See, residential zone and industrial zones are the two zones which have the lines of force. And we have to deal with that, because with that, it creates another urban innovation of how we create that kind of thing. It's not high-rise buildings. It's a curvy linear line which grows up. At the same time, it allows the rest of the city, I would say 2/3 of the city, to be very low density. Or mid-range or whatever. Because the architect had to fit in all these people. She wanted 50,000 people.
So Siru, and in the residential zone there are 11 line of forces,
Yes,
and
yeah.
in industrial zone there are 6 line of
Yeah,
forces.
something like that,
What
yeah.
would you think would epitomize the cultural zone within the city center?
Well, she is, I mean, this is not us saying that. She said, you know, Olympics in 12
stadium.
years. And of course, people freak out now. But I was reading through her handwritten feedback to Roger
Okay.
when he came back with all the different parts of all the different zones, what should come here and what should come there. And then she says for a cultural zone, no need for schools and colleges, not
Okay.
needed now. We need language centers.
Okay.
And it's not education like in the ashram.
Yeah.
And sports is not for the sake of doing sports, it's for the sake of the Olympics. Now, I mean, we have to deal with that. I mean, if she has seen that, we have to deal with that. So, what to do?
All right, parting thoughts and also the most practicable things that we can do for city center. And I would also like you to reflect on the city center from your experience of working in Matri Mandir. I see many residents visit Matri Mandir in the evening as a place to just walk, as a place of breather. Do you think the city center can also provide that eventually?
I mean, that you can move.
That you can move
easily,
you know?
Yes,
like-
yes. In fact, you have not only, I mean,
And it's a
the
place of
access to
beauty,
the Matri
flowers
Mandir,
and-
yeah,
yeah.
but you have also, I mean, all the services, no? That I mean, the services we have, so you can have access to the services.
Yeah.
But I think I'm going a bit out of your question because of one aspect that you didn't talk, but for me is very important, is we are creating also, or trying to create a new society. And for me, the base, I mean, where we are now of this society is to create services. So we need services. I mean, in the city center, we need all kinds of services. And because, I mean, the members of this society in development, you know, we are growing into the society, we have to develop trust. We have to develop this security. We have to develop this feeling of being taken care of. I mean, this should be integral part of the development of the city. Is to go together with the development of the new society. What this reflection? What it means to build a new society in very practical terms, physically, so that people can have appropriate houses, that people can have a nice transport. I mean, correct transport. That you don't need cars or motorbikes or anything, but to have collective transports. We have education. I mean, all these services that are turned towards this building of this new society that gives this kind of security and of belonging, in fact, to the experiment.
Yeah.
For me, this is fundamental.
Thank you, Arimani. The time is short, so I'm going to wrap it. I'm sorry. And we have 8 days of sincerity. We are observing one theme every day. And 2 o'clock, something, we look at the software required to build the city. We look at the human nature and different aspects which Mother has touched upon. And tomorrow, the day being dedicated to Maha Saraswati, the theme of the day is perfection. And at 2 o'clock, the title of the discussion is culture, how to build the culture of perfectibility. And at 4 o'clock, we will look at the city. In the city conversation, we will look at the cultural zone. Thank you for your participation. I look forward to see you soon. Thank you. And we have a small toast of appreciation. Thank you, Nilima. So today is a day of Mahalakshmi. We are full of abundance.
ஆய்வு செய்கின்ற அந்த இந்த முனைவர் ஆய்வு பட்டம் செய்கின்ற அந்த மாணவர்களுடைய ஆய்வுகளை எல்லாம் அவர் தரம் பிரித்து கொடுத்து அவர்களுக்கு அந்த பட்டம் வழங்குவதற்கு, அதாவது வெளியிலிருந்து வருகின்ற ஒரு எக்ஸாமினர் என்று சொல்லுகிறோமே, அப்படிப்பட்ட பரீட்சை செய்து பார்க்கக்கூடிய அந்த வேலையும் செய்து கொண்டிருக்கிறார்கள். அப்பேற்பட்ட ஆளுமை இன்றைக்கு நம்மக்கிட்ட வந்திருக்கிறாங்க. ஸோ இவங்களுடைய நேரம் எவ்வளவு ஒரு முக்கியமானதாக இருக்கும்னு பாருங்கள். இந்த நம்பரெல்லாம் பார்க்கும் பொழுது எங்ககிட்ட வர்றது கூட உங்களுக்கு நேரம் இருக்கா மேடம், அதுதான் நம்ம ஆச்சரியம். அப்படிப்பட்ட நேரத்தை ஒதுக்கி எங்களுக்கு